The entire blame for this appalling incident rests, of course, with Gladys Finkelstein. She's the one who started it all after I escorted her home on that fatal spring night. If she hadn't then let the cat out of the bag about certain people and certain things, this whole sordid business would never have happened.
Do sit down. You'll have a brandy, of course.
No, really, on second thoughts, I think I'd best be off. It's rather late and I'm pretty tired already.
Sit down and don't be so stuffy. I'm having one. The least you can do is join me. Now, you're the art expert. Do tell me, what do you think of my new portrait?
Oh, charming. Quite charming.
I'm so glad you like it. I think Adrian Anstruther is a genius, wouldn't you say?
Well, that might be going a bit far.
You mean it's a little early to tell for sure?
Well, yes, I'd say so.
But listen, Lionel, and I think this will surprise you. He's so popular now, he won't do a commission for under 1,000 guineas.
Amazing.
Oh, yes, and everyone's simply queuing up to get themselves done.
Incredible.
Now, what about your Cézanne and Van Gogh, or whatever they were called? Did they make that sort of money when they were alive?
No, never.
And yet you say they were geniuses.
That's the general consensus these days.
Then so is Anstruther. The money proves it. Would you like to know a secret, Lionel?
Secrets? Oh no, I don't think so. I really must be going now, Gladys.
Oh, don't get upset. I won't embarrass you.
It's not that. It's just that I'm not very good at secrets.
But you're an expert on art, so this should interest you.
It's just so awfully late and I'm very tired already.
This is probably the best kept secret in London. I think only 30 or 40 women know about it, and not a single man, except for Adrian Anstruther, of course. But first you must promise you won't tell a soul.
Oh dear.
Well, will you promise, Lionel? Please?
Oh, all right.
Good. Now listen, I hope you understand that Adrian Anstruther paints only women.
No, I didn't.
Well, he does, and they're almost always 3/4 or full-size portraits. Now take a look at mine over there. Can you see how the dress is painted? Go over and look carefully at it, please. You see how thick the paint is on the dress?
Yes.
I think it's best if I tell you what happened when I first went along for a sitting. He sat me down, gave me a drink, and came straight to the point. He said there is only one way to paint a woman's body, and I shouldn't be shocked when I heard what it was. Then he said that most paintings of women with clothes on looked flat and artificial because they'd never seen what was underneath. That was why he insisted on painting his subjects in the nude.
You mean Anstruther was in the nude?
No, the women, silly.
Ah.
Well, I said, I don't know about that, I said. So once he's done the original painting, you come back a few weeks later and he paints on the underwear. And a few weeks after that, he paints on the dress. It's all quite simple.
Man sounds like a blackguard, a fraud, and an absolute pervert.
Oh, don't be so silly, Lionel. And anyway, let me finish. The first thing I said was my husband, as though I still had one, would never permit it. Oh, he'd never know, he said. No one knows my secret technique, except for the women I've painted. When I protested a bit more, he said there was nothing immoral about taking your clothes off. You wouldn't hesitate to do it at the doctor's. I said I would if I'd gone there for an earache, I said. He laughed. I gave in.
And that's how he paints all his portraits?
Yes, but the husbands never know.
By Jove, he's got a nerve.
I think he's a genius.
He probably pinched the idea from Goya.
Who?
Never mind. But can I ask, did you know of this man's lascivious interest before you went along to see him?
You never let me get away with anything. You're far too clever for me, my dear.
So you did know?
Of course. But you won't tell anyone, will you?
No, I won't tell Gladys, but I really must go now, Gladys.
Oh, don't be silly. I'm just starting to enjoy myself. Stay until I finish my drink. Can I get you another one?
No.
Now, what's this I hear about you and Janet Ponsonby?
Oh, please.
I believe you're blushing.
No, I'm not.
Don't tell me the old bachelor's taken a tumble at last.
Oh, dear. This is all too ridiculous, and I'm too tired to listen to it. I really must be going now, Gladys. I really must.
Don't you know by now there are no secrets?
Janet's a very nice girl, a fine girl. Let's leave it at that, shall we?
Well, you could hardly call her a girl. But I do agree with you. She's a lovely person. But she does say a few odd things now and then.
What sort of things?
Oh, just things about people, about you.
What did she say about me?
Oh, nothing at all. At least nothing very much. It wouldn't interest you.
What does she say about me?
It's not worth repeating. Really, it's not. It just struck me as a bit odd at the time.
What did she say, Gladys?
She may have been joking. Oh, she did say it was all a bit of a bore.
What was a bit of a bore?
Oh, going out to dinner with you nearly every night. That kind of thing.
That was a bore.
Yes. If you really want to know, she said it was a crashing bore. And then...
What then, Gladys?
Now look, dear, there's no need to get excited and upset. I'm only telling you this for your own good.
My own good?
Well, I happened to be playing canasta with Janet this afternoon, and I asked her if she was free to dine with me tomorrow, and she said she wasn't.
Yes?
Well, what she actually said was, I can't, I'm sorry, because I'm dining with that crashing old bore, Lionel Leonard.
She said that?
Yes, dear, I'm afraid she did.
What else?
That's enough for now, surely. I don't think I should tell you anymore.
Finish it, please.
Oh, don't keep on at me. Of course I'll tell you, if you insist. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't consider myself a true friend if I didn't tell you. Isn't it wonderful that two people like us can confide in each
For
other?
pity's sake, Gladys, just tell me.
Good heavens, give me time to remember. I think what she said was, dates with Lionel can be so predictable. We'll go to the Savoy Grill. For 2 hours he'll talk about pictures and porcelain, pictures and porcelain. Then, in the taxi home, he'll reach for my hand and start moaning about if only he was 20 years younger. And then when we get to my place, he'll take me to the front door, then stand there with a silly spaniel expression, and then I take my key, open the door, and skip inside and shut it behind me. Oh, why, Lionel, you're as white as a ghost. Dear. You're positively ashen. Oh, should I call for a doctor, dear?
No, I'll be all right in a minute.
Or should I get you another drink?
I hope.
Possibly a whiskey.
No.
Oh, dear.
I'll just rest a while.
Oh, dear.
I may recover.
Oh, dear.
I may
Lionel.
not. Who knows?
Oh, Lionel. Oh, dear.
Oh. I must have swooned clear away because I can remember practically nothing of the rest of that ghastly evening, except for a vague and disturbing suspicion that when I regained consciousness, I permitted Gladys to comfort me in a variety of ways I prefer not to discuss or recall. I was then driven home and remained more or less unconscious until I awoke in my own bed on the following morning. I can remember with what terrifying swiftness my hatred of Janet Ponsonby now began to grow. I'm not, normally, a scheming or malicious person, but fury and hatred can concentrate a man's mind to an astonishing degree. And in no time at all, a plot was forming and unfolding, a plot so fiendishly clever and exciting that I began to get quite carried away by the whole idea of it. Aha! Mr. Anstruther, I believe. So good of you to call so soon. Please do come in.
Not at all, Mr. Leonard. It's my pleasure to be of service if I can.
Very good. Come this way. Please come in and sit yourself down, Mr. Anstruther. As I mentioned on the phone, I have a rather unusual request to make. Something quite personal in its way.
Indeed, Mr. Leonard. It sounds most intriguing.
I take it I can trust you to be discreet about anything I have to tell you?
Oh, of course, Mr. Leonard. Confidentiality has always been my highest priority.
Excellent. Well, my proposition is this. There's a certain lady of the town, in the town, of course, whose portrait I should very much like you to paint. I very much want to possess a fine painting of her, and so, I'm told, you are, first and foremost, the man best suited for the task. There are, however, certain complications. I have, for example, certain reasons for not wishing this lady to know that it is I who am commissioning the portrait.
Ah, you mean that you would
As
like...
a man of the world, I'm sure you'll understand. Is it not possible that a man might, how shall I say, be extremely fond of a lady, but at the same time have his own very good reasons for not wishing her to know about it, at least not for the time being?
Quite possible, Mr. Leonard, quite possible.
All right, Mr. Anstruther. I think we understand one another. Now, do you happen to know of a lady called Janet Ponsonby?
Janet Ponsonby. Janet Ponsonby. Janet Ponsonby. Now, let me see. I think quite possibly I may have heard of her at one time or another. But on the other hand, in all honesty, I can't really say that I know her. No.
Well, that's a pity, because it makes things a little more difficult, but far from impossible. Do you think you could arrange to meet her, perhaps at a cocktail party or something? I'll give you a photograph of her, so that you know what she looks like, of course.
Yes, that shouldn't be too difficult.
Good. Then you might go up to her and tell her that she's just the sort of subject you've been searching for years. You know, the sort of thing. Then you ask her if she'd mind sitting for you. Say you'd like to do a portrait of her for this year's Royal Academy. I'm sure once she's heard that, she'll be delighted to accept. Then you paint the picture, exhibit it, and deliver it to me. But no one but yourself must know that it is I who have commissioned the portrait. Is that quite clear?
Yes, Mr. Leonard, quite clear. It's just that, well...
You seem somewhat hesitant, Mr. Anstruther. There's nothing criminal or underhand in my little plan, you know. I suppose you could say it's only a harmless surprise for a charming lady from a rather foolish or romantic old man.
Yes, Mr. Leonard, I quite understand that. It's just that this sort of thing is a little out of my regular line and is somewhat time-consuming.
Ah, no problem, Mr. Anstruther. No problem at all. I'd be quite happy to pay you twice your usual fee for all the extra time and trouble.
Twice?
Twice.
Well, of course, Mr. Leonard. I'd be absolutely heartless if I turned down such a, how we say, a romantic assignment.
I'm so glad you feel that way, Mr. Anstruther. I'd like the portrait to be full length and fully standing. That, to my mind, is Janet's most resplendent attitude. Do you think you might have it ready by, shall we say, the end of next month?
That won't be a problem, Mr. Leonard. It'll be a pleasure to paint such a lovely lady. An absolute delight.
So please remember to cable me once it's finished, won't you?
Of course I will. I'll let you know as soon as everything's completed, Mr. Leonard.
I'll look forward to that moment, you may be sure. Thank you very, very much. morning, darling. It's Lionel. Lionel. Lionel.
Lionel,
Yes.
what time is it?
Nearly midday. Are you feeling quite all right, my love?
Not too good at the moment. But why are you calling me at this unearthly hour?
I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but something's suddenly come up, and I won't be able to dine with you tonight, or tomorrow, nor indeed for the next few weeks.
Gracious, whatever's happened?
Well, I've just had a telegram from my dealer chappie in Rome. He's got hold of a pair of Etruscan vases, quite rare and in excellent condition, so he says. If that's true, they sound like something I've been searching after for years, but I need to get down there by the end of this week or they might be gone.
Oh no,
Yes.
poor lamb.
So I'm flying down there first thing tomorrow morning. There are a few other things I want to look at while I'm down there, so I might be away till the end of this month. I hope you won't be too disappointed, my sweet.
Well, it's certainly been a shock and all so sudden. But I suppose I'll manage to bear up somehow.
Oh, darling, I knew you'd understand. As I've always said, you're a top-hole girl. Ciao, ciao for now, my beloved. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
La donna immobile, qual piuma al vento, muta.
The reason for my trip to Italy, while not implausible, was not, of course, the real one. For I decided it would be best if I were to go abroad in the interim and thus avoid any confrontations with the likes of Janet or Gladys Finkelstein. Rome, the eternal city, was as always delightful in every way.
Il piano tuoi friso.
And yet, all the time I was there, I was still preoccupied by thoughts of home and if all my well-laid plans were proceeding smoothly.
La donna immobile, qual piuma al vento.
Ah, yes, it was a taxing assignment and a difficult, stressful, trying time, but someone had to do it. 6 weeks to the day of my leaving for Rome, I returned to London and found, to my immense relief, that all had gone according to plan. The portrait had been painted and hung in the Royal Academy exhibition, and it was already the subject of some favourable comment. Immediately the show was over, however, I had the thing delivered to my workroom where I could examine it in private. My God, I thought, what a hideous, bloody, lifeless-looking daub it really was. The visage itself wasn't so bad. He'd caught the two-faced bitch's avaricious expression all right, but he'd flattered her so outrageously that there wasn't a wrinkle to be seen or the slightest suggestion of double chin. With turpentine and cotton wool, I now began to work away at a small section of the black dress. For almost half an hour, I laboured patiently until a pink spot appeared and gradually spread. As the lower half of the dress was wiped clean, there appeared a queer pink undergarment whose purpose was to compress Janet's bulging waist and give it an illusion of slimness. Some hope. I also noticed, with another jolt, that she was now as bow-legged as a cross-country jockey. The whole effect was quite bizarre and grotesque. To think I'd always admired this woman's sylph-like figure when she was nothing but a fat, two-faced fraud. For the last act of my little comedy, I decided to arrange a special exhibition of prize works from my private collection. I would hold it at a small gallery that I had an interest in and would invite the so-called creme de la creme of the art world, including, of course, Janet herself. Although I would host the evening, I preferred, for obvious reasons, to keep in the background until the climactic coup de grace. All went well for the first part of the evening, with a full house, happily gulping wine and enthusing about my pictures.
If I may have your attention for just a few minutes. Thank you all for coming here tonight to the opening of this truly wonderful and remarkable exhibition, culled from the private collection of one of our directors here at Regent's Park Art, Mr. Lionel Leonard. Many of the paintings you see here have very seldom, if ever, been exhibited in public, although they include works by such esteemed modern masters as Braque, Picasso, Kirchner, Duchamp, Dali, de Chirico, Maigret and Mondrian. And the list goes on and on. But a particular favourite of Lionel's is a modern work only very recently completed. It was an acclaimed entry in this year's Royal Academy Summer Show and is exhibited here tonight for only the second time in its history. It is a work that is brilliantly daring and unusually striking. A magnificent rendering of a lovely lady who is also present here tonight, who many of us know, cherish and admire. I have the great honour to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Adrian Anstruther's superlative portrait of Ms. Janet Ponsonby.
Hideous.
Somebody cover it up.
Just a moment, my good man. Am I to understand you're the originator of this excrescence, this abominable excess? Answer me at once, why don't you? Blackguard and a bound. Give him a good hard thrashing. Is it
Somebody get us some water quickly. No, not bloody water. I need a real drink. For Christ's sake, someone give me a real drink. There he is! The shitty little bastard! Grab hold of him! Grab him! Bring him down! At last I've got you, you fucking turd! Now you're for it! You shitty, shifty, devious, dreary, dismal, miserable, boring old fart!
Janet, darling, steady on, dear, steady on. I can explain everything if you only listen.
No.
It's not my fault. Nothing to do with me whatsoever.
Oh, bullshit!
It's all been a terrible mistake. Nothing but a
Yes,
terrible
your mistake, no question, you bastard!
Careful now, careful. I can't swim, you know. I can't swim.
Oh, my dear Lionel. It's all right. I'm still here. I'm always here for you. Always here for you. Always. Always.
La donna immobile, qual piuma al vento, muta d'accento e di pensiero, sempre una mobile, leggiadro viso, in pianto e in riso e menzognero, e sempre misero, chi a lei s'affida, chi le confida, mal cauto il cuore, ormai non sentesi felice appieno, chi su quel seno aveva amore. La donna è mobile, qual piuma il vento, muta d'accento e di pensier, e di pensier.